Hey everyone, and welcome back to Different World Wellness Plus for another deep dive. This time we're exploring a topic that's been creating quite a buzz in the wellness scene,
Yeah.
and that's fasting.
Yeah, fasting.
Now, I know you might be thinking, fasting, isn't that just like skipping meals?
Right.
Well, yes and no. We're going way deeper than that today. We're going to be uncovering the incredible potential of fasting for optimizing your health.
For sure. And to guide us on this journey, we have the insights of Brennan. He's a world-renowned lifestyle strategist.
Yeah, he's curated some fascinating information from two doctors. Dr. Sebi, you might know him. He's a renowned holistic healer.
Yeah.
And then we have Dr. Jamnadas. He's a cardiologist with some pretty unconventional views. So get ready, folks. This is going to be a fascinating ride.
It really is. What's so cool about this deep dive is that we're going to be looking at fasting from two very different perspectives: holistic healing and modern cardiology.
Right.
And what's amazing is that both Dr. Sebi and Dr. Jamnadas, even though they come from different backgrounds, they both see incredible power in fasting.
Yeah.
They see it as a way to tap into your body's natural ability to heal and thrive.
That's amazing. Okay, so let's dive into these 3 YouTube videos Brennan has shared with us. Starting with Dr. Jamnadas, he really grabs your attention right from the start.
He does, doesn't he?
He talks about how humans are extremely old, with genetics shaped by millions of years of these feast or famine cycles.
It's true. Think about it. For most of human history, food wasn't just readily available like it is now.
Right.
Our ancestors, they evolved to not just survive, but to actually thrive during periods of both feast and famine.
And Dr. Jamnadas' point is that our bodies are actually designed to handle these periods, without food, right?
Exactly. It challenges the whole modern idea that we need to be eating constantly.
That's a pretty radical shift in perspective. I know I'm definitely guilty of the whole snacking all day thing.
Oh, me too.
And Dr. Jamnadas also brought up the example of Socrates, the philosopher,
Yeah.
who actually fasted to enhance his mental clarity. Isn't that interesting? You'd think skipping meals would make you foggy-headed, not sharper.
Right. It seems so counterintuitive, but there's a growing body of evidence that fasting can have some pretty amazing cognitive benefits.
Wow.
Dr. Jamnadas believes that constantly bombarding our bodies with sugar and processed foods, it's like we become sugar junkies, right? Craving those quick energy hits instead of tapping into our body's natural energy reserves.
That makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
And he even calls out those energy bars and drinks that we often reach for, when we're feeling that slump.
Exactly.
It makes you question those promises of a quick boost
Yeah.
in a bottle,
It really does. So when you fast, your body has to find a different way to fuel itself. At first, it uses up your stored glycogen, which is basically your body's ready-to-go energy stash.
Okay.
And then things get really interesting. Your body, gets really clever. It starts creating its own fuel from stored protein.
So the body's not just giving up when it doesn't get food.
No, not at all.
It's adapting.
It's adapting. It's finding new ways to keep everything running.
So what happens next?
Okay, this is where we enter the fascinating world of ketones. Now, they might sound a bit intimidating,
They do.
but they're actually a super efficient fuel source for your body and especially your brain.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's this myth out there that your brain can only run on glucose. But Dr. Jamnadas explains that after about a 7-day fast, your brain can actually derive up to 70% of its energy from ketones.
70%. So fasting isn't actually starving your brain, it's just switching its fuel source?
Yes, exactly.
But where did these ketones actually come from?
Okay, so this is a really cool part. When your insulin levels drop during fasting, your body starts tapping into its fat reserves for energy.
Oh.
And that's what produces ketones.
Ah, I see. So that's how fasting ties into weight management. It's not just about restricting calories.
No.
It's about, controlling insulin, right?
Sure. You got it. Dr. Jamnadas argues that simply cutting calories can actually backfire.
Really?
Yeah, because it can slow down your metabolism, making you feel sluggish and actually hindering weight loss.
That's so counterintuitive.
I know. But fasting, on the other hand, can actually increase your metabolic rate, giving you more energy.
So we're talking about working with our body's natural processes,
Yes.
not against them. It's amazing to think that fasting could be this, hidden key to unlocking better health and energy.
It really is. And honestly, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Fasting has a ton of benefits that go way beyond weight loss.
Oh, wow.
It's like hitting the reset button on your cells.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. So tell me more about these cellular reset benefits. That's what I'm really curious about.
So imagine this. Your cells, they have these like tiny little recycling crews.
Recycling crews?
Yeah, they go around like cleaning up waste, repairing damage, basically making sure everything's running smoothly.
Oh, wow.
And this process is called autophagy. It's absolutely essential for keeping your body healthy and, functioning at its best.
Okay, autophagy. I've heard the term, but to be honest, I don't really understand what it means.
Okay, think of it like spring cleaning for your cells.
Ring cleaning, okay.
During autophagy, your body, it identifies old or damaged parts within your cells,
Mm.
breaks them down, and then uses those recycled materials to build like fresh new components. It's like
Yeah.
taking out the trash and giving your cells a total makeover.
So it's literally a process of cellular renewal.
It is.
Wow, that's pretty incredible.
It is, and it's so important that the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine was actually awarded in 2016 for research on autophagy.
Wow, a Nobel Prize. That's a pretty big deal.
Huge. It plays a major role in everything from slowing down aging to, preventing disease.
So does autophagy just, like, happen all the time? Or are there things that trigger it?
That's a great question. Autophagy does occur naturally, but it really kicks into high gear under certain conditions. And one of the most powerful triggers is, you guessed it, fasting.
Oh, wow. So by fasting, we're essentially, like, flipping a switch on this cellular cleanup crew,
Exactly.
telling them to get to work.
Precisely. Dr. Jamnadas points out that autophagy really starts to ramp up like around the third day of fasting.
The third day. So there's kind of a sweet spot where things really get going.
Exactly. It's like giving your cells this deep cleanse and a much-needed tune-up.
And what are the results of all this? What happens?
The results are amazing. Autophagy is linked to anti-aging benefits, disease prevention, and even making your cells stronger, more resilient.
Okay, that's a pretty impressive list.
Yeah.
But are we talking about just theoretical benefits here, or is there, like, solid evidence to back this up?
The research on autophagy is like robust and growing every day. Dr. Jamnadas, he even makes a pretty bold statement.
Oh.
He believes that a 7-day water fast could potentially reduce the lifetime risk of developing cancer by over 70%.
Hold on. 70%. That seems like a huge number. What's the science behind that claim?
Okay. Well, cancer cells, just like any other cells, they need nutrients to grow and spread, right?
Right.
Fasting basically cuts off their food supply.
Makes sense.
At the same time, autophagy is strengthening your healthy cells, making them more resilient to like damage and stress.
So it's kind of a double whammy.
Yeah.
Weakening the bad guys and strengthening the good guys.
Exactly. Dr. Jamnadas also believes that fasting could potentially enhance the effectiveness of chemotherapy.
Really?
Yeah, by making healthy cells better able to like withstand the treatment's side effects.
Wow, that's pretty remarkable. Is this something he's only theorizing about, or has he actually seen this in his practice?
Well, that's what I found really interesting. Dr. Jamnadas isn't just talking theory here. He's actually incorporated fasting into his own life, even during chemotherapy.
He actually fasted while going through chemo.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful.
And, the benefits of fasting, they go way beyond cancer. It's a potent anti-inflammatory, which is huge for anyone dealing with, autoimmune conditions like inflammatory bowel disease, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus.
So it's like calming down that internal fire
Yeah,
that drives so much inflammation in the body.
that's a great way to put it. And since fasting improves insulin sensitivity, it can also be a game changer for people with diabetes.
Oh, right.
It can help, regulate blood sugar levels and potentially reduce or even eliminate the need for medication.
That's amazing. So we're talking about potentially like reversing a chronic disease
Yeah.
through lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe something as simple as fasting could have that kind of impact.
I know, it's pretty mind-blowing. There's even promising research suggesting that fasting may be able to improve cognitive function in Alzheimer's patients.
Really?
Yeah, offering a new perspective on treating this, devastating disease.
Wow. It seems like we're really just, beginning to understand the true potential of fasting.
Absolutely, and there are even more benefits. Increased growth hormone production, stem cell mobilization, a boost in BDNF, that's a protein that supports brain health, encourages, new brain cell growth. It's really like unlocking a cascade of healing and rejuvenation within the body.
This is a lot to take in.
Yeah.
So far, we've been, focusing on Dr. Jamnadas' perspective.
Right.
But what about Dr. Sebi? How does his approach to fasting differ?
Dr. Sebi's approach is fascinating. He focuses on fasting as a way to, like, cleanse the body,
Okay.
specifically by removing excess mucus.
Mucus.
Yeah.
That seems like an unusual target. Is there, like, scientific evidence to support that?
It's definitely a different approach from what we typically hear in, conventional medicine.
Right.
Dr. Sebi believes that the accumulation of mucus in various organs, it can disrupt their function and contribute to a wide range of health problems.
Okay.
He even argues that diabetes is not a result of the pancreas failing to produce insulin, but rather a blockage of pancreatic ducts.
Because of this mucus buildup. So according to Dr. Sebi, it's not a lack of insulin,
No.
but a delivery issue.
Yeah, precisely. He claims to have successfully normalized blood sugar levels in a diabetic patient in just 4 days using his specific fasting protocol.
4 days. That's a pretty incredible turnaround. I'm curious to know more about this protocol. What does it involve?
It's a unique combination of fasting, specific herbs, and an alkaline diet. Dr. Sebi emphasizes consuming things like Irish moss, various herbal blends, fruit smoothies, green juice, and adhering to a minimum fasting period of 12 days with an ideal goal of 90 days.
90 days. That's quite a commitment.
It is. But it's important to remember that this is, like, his ideal scenario.
Right, right.
He acknowledges that this length of fasting might not be feasible for everyone, especially those new to fasting.
Right, that makes sense. You mentioned earlier that Dr. Sebi also has some interesting views on kidney health and dialysis. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, he sees dialysis as a treatment that, like, addresses the symptom of kidney calcification, which he attributes to excessive consumption of starch.
So rather than just like managing kidney failure through dialysis,
Right.
he's trying to get to the root of the problem.
Exactly. His approach to healing the kidneys involves completely eliminating starch from the diet, following his specific alkaline nutrition guide, increasing iron intake, and gradually incorporating potassium phosphate.
It sounds like a very holistic approach
Yeah.
that addresses both the immediate issue and the like underlying dietary factors.
Exactly. And it's interesting to see how Dr. Sebi's focus on cleansing the body through fasting aligns with Dr. Jamnadas' discussion of autophagy.
Oh, yeah.
Both doctors are essentially talking about, like, cellular detoxification and renewal,
Right.
just from different angles.
Okay. So we're starting to see some common threads emerge here. But I have to admit, with all this talk of extended fasts and specialized diets, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. How practical is all of this for, like, the average person? Where do you even begin?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's all very fascinating, but I'm sure a lot of us are wondering, like, how do I actually do this? Right.
Safely and effectively.
I hear you. Fasting can seem a bit daunting, especially if you're, new to the concept.
Yeah.
But like any lifestyle change, it's all about starting slowly,
Okay.
listening to your body and finding what works best for you.
So let's talk practicalities.
Okay.
First things first. Hunger.
Yes.
It's the big elephant in the room when it comes to fasting.
Yeah.
How do you deal with those cravings?
It's interesting. Hunger isn't this, like, constant, overwhelming monster we often imagine it to be.
Right.
It actually comes in waves.
Oh, okay.
Staying hydrated is a huge help. Sometimes we mistake thirst for hunger.
Right.
So make sure you're drinking plenty of water throughout your fast.
That's a good point. I know I've definitely fallen into that trap before, like, oh, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
But really, I was just thirsty.
Exactly. Another key strategy is keeping your mind busy. If you're just sitting around, like, thinking about food,
Right.
it's going to be much harder to, resist those cravings.
Yeah.
To dive into a project, go for a walk, connect with friends, anything that, like, takes your focus away from food.
Yeah. Distraction is definitely my friend when it comes to resisting temptation.
Yeah.
But what about those stories you hear about people feeling weak or getting headaches during a fast? Is that, like, normal? Or is that
Yeah.
something to be concerned about?
It's totally normal to experience some side effects, especially when you're, first starting out.
Right.
Your body is adjusting to a new way of fueling itself, and it can take some time. Electrolyte imbalances are often the culprit behind those, like headaches
Okay.
and feelings of weakness. The good news is there are simple things you can do to, like, alleviate them. Adding a pinch of salt to your water can work wonders for cramps.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Magnesium can be helpful for dizziness. And bone broth, that's an excellent source of electrolytes, especially during the refeeding phase.
Bone broth. Bone broth. It seems to be popping up, like, everywhere these days.
Yeah, it's like the magic elixir of wellness. It really is a nutritional powerhouse. It's packed with minerals and amino acids that, support your body during a fast and help ease that transition back to eating.
Okay, good to know.
Hmm.
But what about people with health conditions,
Yeah,
especially those on medication? Is fasting safe for everyone?
that's a really important question. And the answer is it depends. It's crucial to consult with your healthcare provider
Right,
before starting any kind of fasting protocol, especially if you have a pre-existing condition
right.
or are taking medication. For example, if you're on diabetes medication, you may need to adjust your dosage to prevent dangerous blood sugar drops.
So it's definitely not something to jump into without professional guidance.
Exactly. The same goes for blood pressure medication.
Okay,
Monitoring your blood pressure during a fast is essential, and, adjustments may be necessary.
okay, that all makes sense. So we've covered some general tips and precautions.
Yeah.
But let's talk about like the different types of fasting. I've heard terms like time-restricted feeding, alternate day fasting, and extended water fasts.
Hmm.
What's the difference? And how do you know which one is right for you?
Okay, so time-restricted feeding is a great starting point for beginners.
Okay.
It's simply about limiting your eating to a specific window of time each day,
All right.
typically 8 to 10 hours.
Okay.
This gives your body a consistent period of fasting every 24 hours.
So like if I finish dinner at 8 p.m., I wouldn't eat again until noon the next day.
Exactly. It's a simple way to incorporate fasting into your routine without making any drastic changes to your diet.
Okay.
Alternate day fasting involves, alternating between days of normal eating and days of either significantly reducing your calories or fasting completely.
That sounds more challenging.
It can be, but it also offers more pronounced benefits in terms of cellular renewal
Okay.
and metabolic changes.
Okay.
And then there are extended water fasts, like those described by Dr. Jamnadas and Dr. Sebi, which typically last for several days or even weeks.
Those are definitely not for the faint of heart. I imagine those require like a lot of preparation and support.
They do. Extended fasts should only be undertaken with careful planning and medical supervision, but they can be incredibly powerful for addressing, chronic health issues and promoting deep cellular detoxification.
Wow. So there really is a whole spectrum of fasting approaches. It seems like the key is finding what works best for your individual goals and health status.
Exactly. It's a journey of self-discovery, and there's no one-size-fits-all approach. The most important thing is to listen to your body, pay attention to how you feel, and make adjustments as needed.
This deep dive into fasting has been so eye-opening. It's amazing to think that something as simple as changing our eating patterns could have such a profound impact on our health and well-being.
It really challenges the conventional wisdom about food and nutrition, doesn't it? It makes you
Mhm.
wonder, what if our modern eating habits are actually the anomaly? And our bodies are craving that, ancient rhythm of feasting and fasting that our ancestors followed for millennia.
That's a really powerful question. It definitely makes you stop and rethink like your whole relationship with food. If fasting can trigger such profound cellular renewal and tap into our body's natural healing abilities, what other hidden capacities are we overlooking?
That's the exciting part. There's so much we're still learning about the human body and its, incredible ability to heal and regenerate.
Well, I think we've given our listeners a lot to chew on today. I encourage everyone to continue exploring the world of fasting and its potential benefits. Remember, knowledge is power, but it's most effective when applied wisely. Seek guidance from qualified healthcare professionals, especially if you have any health concerns or are taking medication. And stay tuned for more deep dives into fascinating wellness topics right here on Different World Wellness Plus.